So, thank you very much for joining our online reading session. So we will start by doing our prayers. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णकृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांतस्मृतगणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णकृष्णाय श्रीमते नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गुरुन् प्रचारिणे विशेष शून्यादि पाश्चात्य विस्तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण ज्ञान श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम् वागीशा यस्य वदने लक्ष्मी यस्य द्रक्ष्यस्यास्ते हृदये संवित्तं सिंहं यस्य देवी पराभक्ति यथा देवी सीति कृताय तथा गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदाले कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय यन्त प्रविश्य मार्ज मां प्रसुप्तां सजीवयत्य किल शक्तिधर सुधाम्नाय हस्तचरण श्रवणत्वादीन् प्राणान् शायद निज गुरु हरिवाण्या कृष्ण चित्तो विचित्तो प्रत्यय दंड संसार विजयति विकासो भक्ति हरे कृष्ण. Providing comfortable facilities. As a general principle, this Krishna consciousness movement is Vairagya Pradhan. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela, chapter 6, text 220. It should not be very luxurious. Due to poverty, most early centers of ISKCON were cramped, austere, and anything but luxurious. Yet Srila Prabhupada was aware that most of his Western followers would be unable to pass their whole lives in Spartan manner, typical of sadhus and indeed most people in India. Thus, when money started to flow into ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada applied the principles of Yukta Vairagya by following the minimally comfortable facilities in temples throughout the world. The Krishna consciousness movement has been introduced in the Western countries, but it is not possible for Westerners to go to the forest and practice the severe austerities which were ideally practiced by Prithu Maharaj or Rupa Goswami. However, Westerners or anyone else can follow in the footsteps of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur by living in a temple which is transcendental to residence in a forest and to vow to accept Krishna Prasad and nothing else, follow the regulative principles and chant 16 rounds daily of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In this way, one's spiritual life will never be disturbed. Just to give these Westerners facilities to at least understand this philosophy, this method was accepted by Guru Maharaj to live in nice building, to have cars, to use everything for Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, nobody would take. In India also, Srila Prabhupada followed the example of his own guru by constructing buildings with modern conveniences to facilitate visitors, both from India and overseas, and resident devotees. At the cornerstone laying ceremony for the showpiece Bombay temple, Srila Prabhupada explained, we are preaching all over the world. We don't require any palatial building or very comfortable apartment, but because it is preaching center, in order to invite respectable persons, we require a nice building. However, some people deem this incongruous with spirituality. To one such doubter, shortly after the opening of ISKCON's first temple cum residence in Mayapur in 1974, Srila Prabhupada explained, when our Guru Maharaj started the Gaudiya Math, he allowed the sannyasis to live in palatial buildings and tour in cars for preaching work. Many persons questioned this, and Guru Maharaj replied, a devotee should be offered the best comforts of life, and if he would not have introduced the comfortable life at the same time to become a pure devotee, then these devotees from Western countries would never have come. They would never agree to sit down under the tree and imitate Rupa Goswami. That is not possible. In our building, we have got the most comfortable situation. There is no such sanitary arrangement in any of the other temples in Manipur. We are trying to give them because people of different countries are not habituated to go to the field and evacuate. That would be great difficulty for them. As far as possible, they must be given their Western type of comforts and chant Hare Krishna. Continuing, Srila Prabhupada explaining that it was his duty to provide such facilities even to those Western devotees who do not require them. They have sacrificed so much for me. They are ready to lie down under a tree. They can agree to live in any condition. But it is my duty to see that as far as possible they are comfortably situated. That is my duty. Speaking in the newly constructed temple in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada explained the logic behind making such impressive buildings and also cautioned his disciples to not take personal advantage of the comforts thus provided. We should always remember that we possess this nice house not for our comfort, but so that people will come. If we would have invited people and said, come and sit down on this Mayapur ground, there is no possibility they would come because they are not accustomed to such austerities. Therefore, we must maintain Krishna's temple very nicely so that people will come and we shall bring. That is the philosophy. Not that because we have got this nice house, therefore we shall be very attached. Attachment must be there. For Krishna's service, the temple must be very cleansed. The establishment must be very nice. What for? For attracting devotees. This is the purpose, not for our personal benefit. My Guru Maharaj introduced these big palatial temples. That is the contribution of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Because the Goswamis worshipped Krishna in a different method, going to Vrindavan, living underneath a tree, one night underneath one tree, next night, next tree. This Vairagya is not possible for the Western people. Therefore, we require this building.
Can you
that is the context.
Could you please slow down? You're going little
fast. Unless they live comfortably, it is not possible. We have to preach all over the world. Decent facilities are also required for modern and sophisticated Indians. Decent facilities are also required for When discussing about preaching to educated Indians, Srila Prabhupada said, bring important men, important students, take this opportunity, give them a nice place so that they may not be uncomfortable, give them good food. There should not be any scarcity for their comfort. People are trained up to the modern comforts. Therefore, I'm building such a big institution. It's not for me that I want these big buildings. I am accustomed to live anywhere. But those who are educated, scientists, they are accustomed. Europeans, Americans must be given a proper place. That was my Guru Maharaj. It's not that suddenly they should now live on the floor. No, that's not possible. Then they will be disturbed. Give them a nice place, nice food, nice instruction. Shamsaru Prabhu, please continue.
Yes,
Chapter 4.
important. I just wanted to need the previous page. Important person, important people.
Sorry?
Yeah, bring important men, important students. So important means in the sense like those who are accomplished, educated, or what does it mean here?
Yeah, maybe. Being important men, important people in the society who considers important men like politicians, big industrialists. So for
Professors,
them,
yeah.
And when important means the thing is the students when they come, so they should be given comfort. Everybody is important, whoever comes to Krishna consciousness.
Yes.
Prabhupada said if we lose one person, then our effort, whatever you have done for bringing them, goes in vain. So we should see that whoever comes to Krishna consciousness, Krishna is sending us. If we are not able to maintain them and they leave, then what can be done? Unfortunately, many temples, devotees are not cared properly, so they leave Krishna consciousness. Sometimes we think they go outside, but better we go outside, maybe nice food, nice. There are only two things in Krishna consciousness as far as Brahmacharya ashram is concerned. One is prasadam and one is kirtan. Prabhupada said these are the only two sense gratificatory things. But if temple is unable to provide that, then devotees will find their own way. Generally, devotees, they don't want very very opulent prasadam. And those who want opulent prasadam will never stay in the temple, or even if it is grahasthas or brahmacharis or whoever it is. But if we want some sadhana in such a way that it will nourish us, of course, prasadam means nourishing our soul. It should also nourish our body. That sharira madhyam khalusarma sadhanam. The sharira or this body is used in Krishna's service. We should see that it is protected nicely. Actually, too much of eating is also not good. If we eat too much, we'll become lazy. Kottai means you'll get a lot of ubasi, a lot of yawning to sleep. So, little prasadam, little seva, little reading, little chanting, little association. So, like that, little by little, fills the tub. Yeah, we are all habituated to modern comforts. Like in US, first time when I came, I was shocked to see AC in the bathrooms. In the bathroom also AC is there. I was thinking, what is this? Too much of facility. But over a period of time, we thought that this is the place, and we have to live like that. But we then better to show that austerity in the book distribution. So take one time prasadam or take only fruits. Don't take prasadam, no problem. You will not die. I was thinking like that. So even if we don't take prasadam, we'll not die. 1 day, 2 days, no prasadam, no problem. We'll go on for book distribution. Yeah, it is our own thing. I'm saying it's not that it should be stipulated for everybody. But yeah, there are so much comforts. There is car over here. Whatever you want to carry, there are hand trucks are there. Um, environment is so good, no pollution. Everything seems to be very clean. People are so polite. In India, so much of people think like that. It is so much of hora hori and so much of noise, honking, horning, shouting, yelling. Here, people don't shout so much, so don't speak. But the problem is books don't. In Japan, it's still more difficult. Japan is pin drop silence. If you're traveling in Japan, of course, I didn't go. Many devotees told, and one devotee told me he was there in China, he was there in Malaysia, he was there in Korea. Uh, Pin drop silence. Nobody speaks to anybody. Everybody is busy in their own work, in their own way. In India, it is not like that. So much of talking, the trains, the office, everywhere. Even in the Brahmacharya ashram, they don't keep silent. Every time, going continuously speaking. And many times, when Maharaj is there Maharaj is staying there in the place where ashram devotees are saying, brahmacharis, if they speak too much, Maharaj secretary will come or Maharaj will come directly. Too much, you're all speaking so much. Maharaj will get disturbed so much. Maharaj has to do so many things. So we have to be mindful. Although so many facilities are there, one can take so many austerities. Oneself austerity. In India, living itself is an austerity. But in the West, dealing with people is a great austerity. Even with devotees also, it's like that. It's a mad house. So what can you expect? People coming from the mad house will be mad people. So we have to deal with all mad people. Suppose I am a big mad fellow. I'm saying, okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Purity is the force. Ultimately, pure devotional service must be accepted as the essence of the Krishna consciousness movement. But because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stressed the preaching of pure devotional service, And because Srila Prabhupada was his special emissary for that purpose, preaching can be taken as the essence of all activities of the followers of Srila Prabhupada. And purity is the essence of the essence. For purity is the force that makes preaching potent and transformative and thus meaningful. In the light of Shastric descriptions,
Prabhu, 1 second. I will just mute myself because, yeah, then you can.
So your skin is gonna.
No. I know that. Just I would.
in the light of Shastric descriptions, members of the Krishna consciousness movement must differentiate between pure devotional service and devotional service performed with personal motives, stating that this Krishna consciousness movement is based on sincere service to the Lord. Srila Prabhupada always pointed his disciples and others toward pure devotional service, which alone can completely satisfy the self. Succinctly, ISKCON aims at creating pure devotees of God. That is to say, people who serve God without any personal motive and without any interruption, and who are free from all material desires. Thus, purity means selflessness and sincerity in devotional service. Anya bhilashita shunyam. Just depend on Krishna. Simply, we have to desire to please Him and not desire anything for ourselves. Then we become simply instruments for His will. This is the important essence of Krishna consciousness. Purity can be understood in two more principal ways. Fully pure devotion entails constant loving absorption in in thought of Krishna. But even before attaining that state, a devotee can remain on the platform of purity by avoiding the four pillars of sinful life: illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling, and engaging in the purificatory process of devotional service. By regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and observing other basic principles, a devotee can become purified and free from all material contamination. By identifying purity with both sincere intention and strict practice, Srila Prabhupada importantly linked purity of consciousness with purity of action. As Satsvarupa Dasa Goswami observed, summarizing many of Srila Prabhupada's statements regarding purity, purity is not an abstract thing. A pure devotee must chant 16 rounds a day. He must avoid the four kinds of sinful activities, and he must dedicate his life and soul to the spiritual master and the Krishna consciousness movement. Purity of action lays the basis for preaching success. Keep very strictly the regulative principles and chanting the prescribed number of rounds on the beats, and you will clear the way for success in your preaching work. Srila Prabhupada was very much anxious that preachers maintain purity by maintaining a strict schedule of temple activities. I am very much anxious that at the same time as you carry out all these outside activities, you are maintaining a strict schedule of temple activities. Such regular activities like attendance of arati, chanting of rounds, and study of literatures in the class will keep you fit for effective preaching work in the outer field. Our standard of purity must be Our standard of purity must be kept, otherwise, there will be loss of spiritual strength and subsequent fall down. Purity bestows strength. By purity, Krishna consciousness will conquer. That is my only credit, that I have remained pure where all others have failed. Therefore, this Hare Krishna movement is becoming stronger everywhere, while the others are failing everywhere. And this Krishna consciousness movement is running simply on the purity of its regulative principles. If the devotees, preachers of our movement remain always pure by strictly sticking to the rules and regulations as I have given, that is, no flesh eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, then without any doubt we shall conquer all other so called spiritual cultures in the world very soon. If you remain to your principles, you can make the whole world your disciple. They will accept. If we stick to the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we shall get spiritual strength without a doubt, and we shall be free to preach this cult of the Hare Krishna movement and not be hampered by anyone. If devotees purely adhere to the principles of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this movement can be as powerful as when Lord Chaitanya was directly present. Sri Narottama Dasa Thakura says that all sinful and suffering persons were delivered by the Sankirtana movement inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya, who was formerly the son of Nanda Maharaja, accompanied by Nityananda Prabhu, who was formerly Sri Balarama. If we keep ourselves purely on the standard of Lord Chaitanya's order, then by us chanting the holy names, Krishna will descend as powerfully as he acted previously during the time of Jagai and Madhai. Purity will attract people. It is our only asset and it is required in order to reach Krishna. Purity is attractive to people. Our only asset is our purity. Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 12. You cannot reach Krishna without being pure because he is the supreme pure. Stating people are eager for Krishna consciousness when it is given in its pure form, Srila Prabhupada offered an example from the realm of sense gratification. There is a street in Loi Bazaar where there is a Punjabi's shop. He makes all preparations with first class ghee. Whenever I used to pass that area, at least 50 customers were waiting. That gave me the impression that if you have genuine goods, customers will come. If your if your dealing is straightforward and the goods are nice. So many religious institutions and missionary and other are all over the world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, substantial, genuine. Why will this not be appreciated if we present properly? I thought on that, and some way or other, it is successful. Conversely, if we are not ideal, we cannot create others as ideal. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati once stated, if there is no energy in the powerhouse, then even thousands of light bulbs cannot give illumination. Similarly, without purity and sincerity, there is no use in having many followers and a big institution. Emphasis on purity might seem to work against the aim of engaging every jiva in devotional service, yet, notwithstanding his desires to expand the Krishna consciousness movement unlimitedly, Srila Prabhupada asserted that a small but pure movement is preferable to a large but compromised one. We are not concerned with any other movement save and accept Krishna consciousness in its pure form. In India, it is said that a little bit of a pure thing is much better than huge volumes of impure, adulterated things. Prabhupada never spoiled his cornucopian distribution of the fruits of love of God by including in it anything inappropriate or tinged with the mundane. Insisting that the purity of the movement not be compromised, Srila Prabhupada was unwilling to alter the principles to accommodate persons who are not prepared to observe them. Keep your movement very pure. Don't mind if somebody goes away. We must keep our principles pure. Personal behavior of devotees. In pursuance of the principle, dharma stapana hetu sadhura vyavahar. A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. Srila Prabhupada exhorted his disciples to be exemplary sadhus. We have to be real brahmanas, not just in name, and in that way we can set an example for the whole civilized society to follow. Our aim is to create men of ideal character. What we are doing, that they must see. See their sacrifice, what is behind their life, how they are living, how they have sacrificed everything for the welfare of society. One of Srila Prabhupada's first disciple observed, as early as 1966, Srila Prabhupada typed out the 26 qualifications of a devotee, beginning with doesn't quarrel with anyone, to help us to realize that in addition to fully comprehending the philosophy and history of Krishna consciousness, our personal behavior would be germane to the success of ISKCON. Clearly, the substance and integrity of the Krishna consciousness movement will be recognized to the degree that devotees live purely, according to the principles that Srila Prabhupada taught and the example he set. As one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, the most convincing argument that your divine grace is making is that we are not just talking, we are also acting. That is the big difference between our philosophy and all the others, because there are many good philosophies, but they all finish in talk. Thus, Srila Prabhupada warned, do everything conscientiously, and my blessings are always with you. However, don't create any awkward situation that may be criticized. Caesar's wife must be above criticism. Up to now, as I have got a respectable situation, I wish that all my disciples will have a similar respectable position in society. That will keep my name good, like father, like son. Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's archetype of preaching devotional service by practicing it himself, Apani Achari Bhakti Karila Prachara. Srila Prabhupada instructed that by our example, living example, we'll have to attract. He taught that example is better than percept, and that if you have an ideal group of men, then people will automatically learn. Again, members of this society should be ideal. Simply by their association, people will become good, very good. Everything will depend on this. Those who are conducting different centers and temples should be very responsible men, because everything will depend on their sincere activities and character. If they are insincere, then that will not be effective. One may come and associate with us, but if we are insincere, then it will not be effective. But if the devotees are sincere, anyone who will come in contact with a devotee, he will change. That is the secret. Devotees should be divine, not devils. We have to create divine because the world is full of devils. Unless you become divine, how you can convert others to be divine? If you are a devil, you will convert others to become devils. Should I continue, Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhu, let others, I will tell
Oh,
somebody
okay.
else to do.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Jagannath Chandra Prabhu, you can continue to read. Jagannath Chandra Prabhu? Hare Krishna? I don't know. Jagannath Chandra Prabhu, able to hear me? No. Okay, Paramatmananda Prabhu, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Pranam Guruji.
Pranam, I don't know. Jagannath Chandra Prabhu is not hearing. Okay, you can read.
Yes.
He's busy, I think.
Rules and regulations required for initiated devotees. Everyone is
One second.
invited to.
One second.
I think you can start reading, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Paramatmananda Prabhu, continue.
Yes, sir.
I have to mute it. Otherwise, it is difficult for me here.
Okay. Everyone is invited to participate in Krishna conscious activities, but to be initiated, observance of regulative principles is required. We invite everyone to our feast and kirtan, but when one comes into the confidence, we initiate him in the process and request him to observe four principles of restrictions based on philosophy and morality. Nobody can realize spiritual enlightenment without following the principles of purity. We enforce the regulative principle when a student is serious to become initiated. Otherwise, ordinarily, in all our centers, everyone is welcome and can join the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. My first condition is that if someone wants to become my student, he has to follow these four regulative principles. 16 rounds and four rules makes for 5 items. 5 items: no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, no meat eating, and chant 16 rounds. By following these 5 principles, one can be saved from all problems of life. All of us should remain spiritually strong by chanting the minimum number of rounds and following the rules and regulations. These 5 are a must. Those who fail to follow them are not accepted as disciples by Srila Prabhupada. My advice is to always chant 16 rounds and minimum and follow the four regulative principles. All my disciples must agree on this point. Otherwise, they are not my disciples. Let one live anywhere but stick to the principles. One may live in a suitable place, but one must follow these 5 principles. My disciples must follow these principles, living either in heaven or hell. Srila Prabhupada's emphasis on these standards was in accord with his duty as an Acharya. It is the duty of a Vaishnava Acharya to prevent his disciples and followers from violating the principles of Vaishnava behavior. He should always advise them to strictly follow the regulative principles, which will protect them from falling down. Being insistent upon this, when Srila Prabhupada observed a tendency in the members of ISKCON praise to not follow the principles, including also attendance at temple programs, he recommended to stop the praise. Thinking these standards too high for most people, Siddha Sarupananda Goswami postulated, "My feeling is that there are many people who are not ready to make such a vow. They are not feeling that strong." Srila Prabhupada responded, For them, engage them in kirtan. If you find such men, don't give them instruction. It is no use sowing some seed in the sand. There will be no result. Better let them hear this chanting. Chant Hare Krishna. By hearing, when their heart will be cleansed, they will surrender. Therefore, for the general mass of people, don't talk instructions. They will not be able to understand. Let them come, chant, dance, take prasad, and go away. And when they are prepared to follow the rules and regulations, they are initiated. But give them a chance. All right, please come, chant, dance, take prasad, and go. But if you want to live with us, then you have to follow the rules. 16 rounds minimum. Having first asked his Western disciples to chant 64 rounds daily of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but finding them unable, Srila Prabhupada then asked them to chant 32 and finally settled on a minimum of 16. Thus, the standard became set that chanting at least 16 rounds daily of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is required for initiation as the follower of Srila Prabhupada. We first observe whether a potential disciple is prepared to follow the regulative principles. Then he is given the name of Vaishnava servant and initiated to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at least 16 rounds daily. Devotees in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must chant at least 16 rounds daily, and this is the number prescribed by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Indeed, of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. When a disciple told Srila Prabhupada, I have been working until late at night and only sleeping 4 hours, so I have not had time to finish. Srila Prabhupada replied strongly, then sleep only 2 hours, but you must finish 16 rounds a day. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed his followers to chant at least 1 lakh.
I just wanted to ask something. How many devotees have finished their rounds? How many devotees? You should not ask like that. How many devotees are pending rounds are there still? Everybody chanted their rounds?
Today Ekadashi
Okay.
Prabhu so chanted early.
Okay. So everybody chanted their rounds. Very nice. Okay, Prabhu, continue.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed his followers to chant at least 1 lakh names daily, which is taken as 64 rounds of japa and has remained the standard among Gauriyas. Considering this, the reduced quota given by Srila Prabhupada is arguably the most remarkable of all his adjustments. Nevertheless, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, devotees who chant at least 16 rounds daily can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Krishna will accept them. If they are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, while strictly following the regulative principles and the prescribed method. The Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beats. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to his calculation, practically every one of us is fallen. But because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. In our Krishna consciousness movement, the devotees have been advised to refrain from four sinful activities: illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling, and to chant 16 rounds a day. These are bona fide instructions because in the Western countries, constant chanting is not possible. One should not artificially imitate Haridas Thakur but should follow this method. Krishna will accept a devotee who strictly follows the regulative principles and the method prescribed in the various books and literatures published by the authorities. Srila Prabhupada further clarified this point while commenting on Haridas Thakur's daily chanting of 3 lakhs holy name. Certainly, the chanting of 3 lakhs holy names of the Lord is wonderful. No ordinary person can chant so many names, nor should one artificially imitate Haridas Thakur's behavior. It is essential, however, that everyone fulfill a specific vow to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Therefore, we have prescribed in our society that all our students must chant at least 16 rounds daily. Such chanting must be offenseless in order to be of high quality. Mechanical chanting is not as powerful as chanting of the holy name without offenses. We cannot imitate Haridas Thakur, but everyone must chant a prescribed number of rounds. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we have fixed 16 rounds as the minimum so that the Westerners will not feel burdened. Further, citing the example of Haridas Thakur, Srila Prabhupada urged his followers to not miss this opportunity. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads 3 lakhs times daily, throughout the entire day and night. He would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the holy names 3 lakhs times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purusha or liberated soul. We can follow his example. However, by chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on beads every day and offering respect to the Tulasi plant, this is not at all difficult for everyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with a vow before the Tulasi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respects to the Tulasi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency. One should not miss this opportunity.
One more thing I wanted to tell, that in Gaudiya Math, there is nothing like morning program or Guru Puja like that. Actually, after the Mangalarti is there. After the Mangalarti, they sing the Vaishnava bhajans, starting from Om Ajnana Timirandasya, and then they continue to sing Bhaktivinoda Thakur bhajans, Narottam Das Thakur bhajans, Lochan Das Thakur bhajans. Everybody's Srinivas Acharya bhajans. They have a list every day. They have the bhajans, and whoever wants to chant, they chant 64 rounds along the whole day. Prabhupada gave us the whole morning program. He gave us morning program means Mangalarati, that means Guru Puja, Guru Ashtakam, and then Nrsimha Pranam, then Tulsi Arti, then Sishtashtakam verses, then Japa, and then Darshan, and then Bhagavatam class, Guru Puja, Bhagavatam class, and then Prasadam. So morning program means from Mangalarati, that means from Guru Ashtakam to Prasadam. This is morning program. So evening program means you have Tulsi Arati, you have Gaur Arati, you have Bhagavad Gita class, and then दूध पी के सो जाना है बस. Now we have to drink milk and sleep. So this is the morning program and evening program, and in between preaching program, that is book distribution or something. So this is called the whole program is called sandwich program. Prabhupada said. So there is no such thing like sandwich program in there. So at least devotees, those who are staying in the house, can do Mangala Arati, can do Guru Puja, can chant rounds, and darshan. Of course, devotees don't. If they have duties, then they can do elaborate worship. Then if not, at least flowers can be offered, darshan. Yeah, some devotees do even the whole morning program in their houses. I've seen so many devotees they do. So when I just like temple, they follow strict regime of program in their houses. Okay.
Hmm. Chanting 16 rounds is the minimum, yet by doing so and by executing all the duties given by Guru and Shastra, success is guaranteed. Patiently, if you go on executing your duties in devotional service as it is directed in the Shastras and confirmed by the spiritual master, then, then rest assured that your success is guaranteed. This is the way. Utsaha nishchaya dharya tattat karma pravartanat. You must execute the duties. Just like we have asked our students to finish 16 rounds chanting minimum. 16 rounds is nothing. In Vrindavan, there are many devotees who chant 120 rounds. So 16 rounds is the minimum because I know in the western countries it is difficult job. To finish 64 rounds or 120 rounds like that, minimum 16 rounds. To finish 64 rounds or 120 rounds like that, minimum 16 rounds. That must be finished. Tat tat karma pravartanat. This is the direction, observing the regulative principles. In this way, we must be abiding by the direction of the spiritual master and the Shastra. Then rest assured, success is guaranteed. Four regulative principles. The beginning of religious life is to abandon the four principles of prohibited activities, namely illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. This Krishna consciousness movement is the purificatory process. The first condition, we do not accept any rascal who is addicted to these four principles. We do not make cheap disciples. Our condition is first of all, you must give up these things illicit sex, meat eating, and intoxication, up to drinking tea and smoking cigarettes and gambling. Along with chanting at least 16 rounds daily, Srila Prabhupada instituted an institution vow derived from Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 17th chapter, text 38, and 11th Canto, 5th chapter, text 11, that all disciples must follow what he termed the four regulative principles. Materialistic persons who are not inclined to give up their sinful activities like illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating, some sometimes want to become our disciples, but unlike professional spiritual masters, we accept disciples regardless of their condition. Vaishnavas do not accept such cheap disciples. One must at least agree to abide by the rules and regulations for a disciple before a Vaishnava Acharya can accept him. One is accepted as bona fide student in
One
this
is not,
movement.
Prabhu,
One is
Hare
not
Krishna,
accepted. Yes.
is not accepted.
One is not accepted as a bona fide student in this movement unless he promises to follow the four regulative principles: no animal killing, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. Everyone is welcome to come to the temples, join in chanting, take prasad, etc. But if they are to be initiated, they must strictly follow the principles. Initiation means formal acceptance of the line of activities in Krishna consciousness. Before that, before initiation, we invite everyone to come and sit down with us, chant, dance, take prasad, hear philosophy. And if he understands, oh, this is very nice, then he offers himself to be initiated. Then we accept. Then we impose these restrictions that if you want to be initiated. Those who have accepted initiation must adhere to the principles under all circumstances without any exceptions. You made a promise when you took initiation then that there will be no illicit sex connection. If still you are unable to fulfill that promise to your spiritual master, then what is the use of calling yourself a devotee and disciple? That is simply pretending. So you should think like this, that I have promised my spiritual master this, now I must obey him without any exceptions. Otherwise, I have no business calling myself his disciple. But if you want to call yourself a devotee and serve Krishna in that capacity, then you must follow these four basic principal restrictions under all circumstances without any exceptions. Even with great difficulty, these rules must be adhered to. You must follow the principles that I have given at all times under all circumstances. Without these four principles, there is no spiritual life. Even it may be very difficult, you must follow. You should reject anything or anyone who advises you to break these principles. Association with such person is worse than poison. Such a demanding order is required because regulative principle is the groundwork, foundation of everything. Neglecting the principles means neglecting Krishna's order. Neglect of the regulative principles will destroy devotional service. To break any of these principles is sinful, and one who commits sinful acts consciously cannot be worthy of being a devotee of the Lord. These four major sinful activities destroy the basic religious principles of austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. Therefore, they are not to be compromised. To become Krishna conscious means that he has to give up his sinful activities. No illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. These are the four pillars of sinful life. So people are not ready to give this up. But we do not make any compromise. That you go on with your sinful life, and at the same time I sanction that you have become Krishna conscious. No, that we cannot do. There is no compromise on this point. You must give up all this sinful life because there is no chance of becoming Krishna consciousness. Why shall you make a show? There is no benefit by making a show.
Okay, Prabhu.
Others,
Hare Krishna.
okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Other standard practices for initiated devotees. There are terms and conditions for those who wish to fully participate in the Krishna consciousness movement and thus be fully benefited by it. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we require everyone to rise early in the morning by 4 a.m. and attend Mangalarati or morning worship and then Srimad Bhagavatam, perform Kirtan and so forth. Srila Prabhupada specifically listed other standard practices for initiated devotees. Must attend evening and morning classes, must not extensively mix with non-devotees, should not eat food cooked by non-devotees, should not waste time in idle talks, should not engage in frivolous sports, should always chant and sing the Lord's holy names. Chanting, as initiated by Lord Chaitanya, is the only means of a spiritual realization in this age of dissension. So chant at least 16 rounds daily. Apart from these most basic principles, There are other practices that all devotees who claim to be followers of Srila Prabhupada are expected to observe. The following quotes, while not exhaustive, set forth basic criteria for all disciples of Srila Prabhupada. These instructions were repeated in dozens of letters written to disciples. Everyone should attend Mangalarti and chant 16 rounds daily. You must see that they strictly follow the 4 regulative principles as well as the devotional practices of rising early, taking morning bath, putting on tilak, attending Mangalarti, chanting Japa 16 rounds, and attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is the duty of all my initiated disciples, whether they are big or small. Actually, in our movement, there is no such thing as big or small. Unfortunately, in some places, it is seen that some of the devotees, those who become a little bit senior by so many years being in the movement, generally they don't come for Mangalarti. It is the case here also. So those who are seniors, they don't come for Mangalarti. It's unfortunate. They come for darshan, take prasadam and go. So that should not be way. Everybody should come. Continuing. Here in Vrindavan, I am enjoying how my disciples are speaking. So 2 times daily, everyone must attend the classes. So 2 times everybody must attend the classes. During the morning and evening times, there should be no business. Simply kirtan, stand, dance, and be purified. Do not be do not be such a Paramahamsa that now got to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This will happen. Devotees, now they don't want to hear Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam class. One devotee told me that one devotee means he's a senior. He's of my age, but he's since 5 years old. He's there in Krishna consciousness movement. Now he became big. He told me that since the age of 5, I have done so much of preaching. I have gone here and there. I have done so many services. I was in management, this, that. Now I have my own sadhana. What is this nonsense? There's nothing like own sadhana, like own worship. What is this own sadhana, own worship? We have the same program. Okay. Don't be a better Paramahamsa than your Guru Maharaj. Don't be a see, Prabhupada is saying, don't be a better Paramahamsa than your Guru Maharaj. I go and sit and I enjoy lectures and how they are performing Kirtan. So I am doing. So as I am doing, you must also do. Being the very substance of devotional life, these principles are essential and of the utmost importance. Without them, there is no spiritual life. This early rising, holding classes, going out regularly for Sankirtan and worshipping the deity are the very substance of devotional life. That is of utmost importance. Do not fail to chant 16 rounds daily. Rise early, come to Mangalarti, come to classes, and follow the 4 relative principles. In this way, your life will become free from all anxieties. Keep yourself pure and fixed up in Krishna consciousness by following the 4 relative principles, rising early, attending Mangalarti and classes, etc. This is of the utmost importance. Rise early, attend Mangalarti, attend class, chant 16 rounds, and follow the 4 basic rules and regulations. This is most important. Without these things, there is no spiritual life. Most importantly, Srila Prabhupada becomes pleased if devotees follow these principles. I am glad to hear that in your temple no one misses Mangalarti and that everyone is becoming steady and peaceful in their service. It sounds as if you're taking care. It sounds as if you're taking care of your men very nicely. This is first class management. Okay, we'll stop here. And if any devotees have anything to ask, they can ask. Otherwise, we'll stop here. Okay, so we shall stop here and meet tomorrow at 8:30. Tomorrow is Saturday, so tomorrow we'll meet at 8:30 in the evening till 9 o'clock, half an hour. Until then, Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasubhyabhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami ki
Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.